At Hydrick and Struggles, we've spoken to a number of CEOs and we've coined the term around a two-speed economy that they're running at. The two-speed economy is essentially, in the short term, they're looking at how do we reset for resilience? How do we fix the core, refine the core, and start building on a sustainable platform as we go forward over the next, let's say, 12 months. And on the second speed, it is in parallel, while you're fixing the core of the first speed, how do you also innovate? And what do you see CEOs doing differently today to manage this two-speed in the short and long term?
I think CEOs have this role not only because of pandemic, but in any case. That's the normal role and responsibility of a CEO. Because I believe that short-term and long-term have to be balanced at all points of time.
Now, when we look at the second speed, this is more about how do you innovate? What do you need to do to innovate in whether it's business adjacencies, new products, new services? What should CEOs do to manage kind of the second speed of this in terms of innovation for the future?
Well, the second speed is actually the first speed, because long-term has to be safeguarded at any cost. So, what are the important things about long-term? First and foremost is, what will be my product portfolio as a company? What kind of product range, service range, how will I modify, change, add to that range over the next 5, 10 years? And I need to get ready for that, because innovation cycles are longer, they take time. If they're linked to technology, they take longish time. So that's one very, very important thing, and that has to be decided by the leadership team based on their consumer expectations judgment, that consumers in the next 5 years will expect from this company. The second thing is the markets I will enter, the geographies I'll enter as a company over the next 5 to 10 years. And every geography is so different from each other, every market is different. So, and for each market, we as a company should be ready in terms of our strategy, our competitive posture, our products, services, our management bandwidth, etc., etc. The third thing, which is also very important, is what kind of financial outlays, investments you need in the long term, which I believe you need to proactively fund. How much of that is funded by surplus cash or profits? How much is it funded by existing shareholders in rights issues? How much is it require new shareholders, new investors? All that work has to be done today so that you get ready for that because a financial funding shortage will lead to your long term at a risk, which you can't afford. Last but not the least, what kind of leadership team I want in 5, 7 years from now? Which means that today's second line and third line have to grow to that. Because it's always good to have 80% of the future leadership come from internal leaders, young leaders.
Now the CEO constantly today is looking at sustaining the core, absolutely, but scaling is no longer 1x, right? It's how do you scale at 5x? How do you see the organization, the people, the leadership adapting to a culture that looks at scaling as an ambition? How does that fall into play?
I feel that scaling starts from the team, from the aspirations of the team, from the hunger of the team. If the team is not hungry, you can forget the scale up. Second is that scale up, whether it's 5x, 10x, 20x, needs team to be really able to resolve complexities. Because as you scale up from 1x to 2x, 2x to 3x, 5x, 10x, the complexities go up tremendously. And if the team is not solid in terms of their problem-solving abilities, then they will lose, because they will not be able to solve those problems. Or if they are simplistic, that actually complexities may not go up, which is also not acceptable. So I think a lot of future growth or future scaling up lies inside you, inside the team, inside the organization, and also culturally, finally. I feel that the scaling up will lead to a much bigger revenue, profits, number of customers, etc. But if the company becomes hierarchic and bureaucratic because of that, then you lost the benefits of scale-up. So retaining the soul of a small company and retaining the informality of a small company is a very big thing for a scaled-up company.